What's up guys, and welcome to today's video where I want to talk about how to make a store successful selling only cheap products like $5 to $10. And I got the idea because someone in the Facebook group asked how to do exactly that. Like, well, how is it possible to make a profit with $5 cheap products? So this is what this video will be about. I will give you some strategies on what your backend should look like, how to advertise and things like that. And I hope that you will get a lot of value out of it, and I wish you a lot of fun with the video. Alright, so let's get started. And one thing up front, if you follow my channel, especially like the last videos, you probably know that I'm a huge fan of high ticket selling because it makes things just so much easier. However, of course, not everyone wants to sell high ticket stuff. Not everyone can probably high ticket stuff. Can sell high ticket stuff. I don't know. But for those of you who just don't want to go that way, I'm doing this video here on selling specifically low ticket items. And the first thing that I want to talk about when it comes to high ticket is the backend. What do I mean with that? Well, backend, to me at least, or at least in this video, is everything that is done in your store or behind the scenes that has nothing to do with what people see immediately when they come to your site, and especially not the advertising part. So in the second stage, we will talk about the advertising, but in the first part, let's talk about the backend. And the first principle here is the first thing that you should keep in mind when you sell those super cheap products is that you need cross-sells, upsells, and bundles. So cross-sells means that you sell products similar to those and you show these products to the customer. So when they go to your site, you tell them, hey, we also have this and that product, so that people who are not going to buy the initial product, they still have some other choices, they still have some other products to choose from, and they, you know, if you don't close the deal on the first product, they might have a look at the other products. At the same time, upsells are even more important because if you made the sale on a cheap product, or let's say someone added the product to cart, or he or she initiated checkout, then is a great time to show them another product. And the big thing here is this product should actually be in the same category. So I give my famous example always, you know, selling things like a dog necklace, and then as an upsell you have something like a gadget or like a drone or something like that. This doesn't make sense because the chances that someone actually wants to buy both are like 0.01%. So stay in the same niche with your upsells so that you can make sure people are actually interested. And probably the most powerful of those techniques are bundles. So if you have a product and you have similar products that go very well with it, you can offer the customer to buy them in a bundle, which means they buy this product and a similar product and another product, and they get like a 30% discount on the whole thing. You probably know that from Amazon, where they tell you frequently bought together, and sometimes there is a discount for that. This is super powerful because people might think, well, you know, this product looks interesting, this looks interesting, I also want to check this out. And if they do so, if they do all these things, if they end up buying all these products, suddenly your order value is not $10 but probably $40, right? And suddenly the whole math makes way more sense. The next thing that you should absolutely keep in mind is the follow-up, and this is absolutely important. The follow-up in this case can be done via email or more likely and Messenger. So the follow-up is so super important because you pay, at least if you use paid advertising, you pay for someone to visit your store, and if you don't follow up, which is normally free, you know, sending out emails is essentially free, more or less, depending on your list size, etc. It's more or less free. So if you don't use emails, or in this case also Messenger, you are leaving a lot of money on the table, because the only chance to sell someone is the initial time someone visits your store. And if you don't find a way to reach out to them later on or close the deal immediately, you basically wasted some money. So follow up with email, pretty simple, you know, using things like Privy, where people enter their email addresses so that they get on your list, they get a discount, and you have the chance to email them, for example, 6 hours later saying, hey there, I see that you visited this product, or we see that you were interested in this, you put something into cart but you didn't buy it, probably just forgot about it, and eventually also adding a discount. So telling them, we really want you to help make the decision, here's a $5 discount. Well, in this case $5 doesn't really make sense if the product is $5 to $10, but you know, 10-20% discount or something like this. Messenger works pretty similar. You use certain tools like Recart or something, and people, when they add something to cart, there is this little box, and if this is ticked, you can basically send them messages in their Facebook Messenger inbox. And here you have to be very careful. If you are too messy, if you're too scammy, and if you're too spammy especially, people will quickly report you or unsubscribe or something like that. So keep things very simple and very to the point. So tell them, for example, an hour later, hey, you still have the product in our cart, in your cart, probably you forgot about it, here's the link, right? And this can be powerful because very often people just don't buy because they did something else, because they moved on with their day, because they had to quickly leave the house or whatever, or they were on the phone and they had to leave. So following up and reminding them or giving them this additional incentive can be super powerful to win back those people. And now the third tip, the third strategy here is maximizing customer lifetime value. Why is this so important? Well, similar to the second point, if you acquire a customer, this costs you money. And if you only sell this person a $10 product, chances are very high that you won't be profitable on the front end, right? So if you're not profitable on the front end and you don't maximize or increase customer lifetime value, this means that you're basically unprofitable all the time. So your task, if you really decide to sell those cheap items and you do paid advertising and you're not breaking even on the front end, is to maximize customer lifetime value. And there are a lot of ways you can do that. And the first, maximizing customer lifetime value is not some little trick that you can apply. It's actually something that you have to earn, and that is very difficult sometimes. So this includes things like, for example, offering a great service, right? If you answer your customer's question very quickly, if you help them within a few hours, if you give them some additional tips on what to do and things like that, this is of course good service, and it increases your chances of someone buying from you again. At the same time, sending good content, basically, whether it's email or messenger, but finding a good mix of useful content, of entertaining content, of helpful content, and then regularly adding a promo email here and there so that people are getting some content, they hear from you, they know you exist, and they get reminded of you, so that once they actually want to buy something from you again, you are basically on top of their heads. And this is so important because if you, like I said, if you don't break even initially, you want to make sure that you sell them something later on, essentially for free, because now you don't have to pay on advertising for these people anymore. So service and good content are two very important points here. And another thing is actually pretty similar to the second, but this is something like promos and promos, discounts, and things like that, giveaways and stuff like that. So re-engaging the customers that you have, not only with the content, but also regular promos, telling them, crazy summer sale, 90% off all our clothing or something like that. This is something that can get people excited, and you can that way get people back to your store and buy. Same with discounts, and especially with giveaways. If you want to re-engage all these people in a huge giveaway, probably also increase your followership, and at the same time making a few sales from the people who don't win and then end up buying the product because it sounded so great to them. Alright, so now that we discussed the back end, let's actually move on to the advertising part. And when it comes to advertising a low ticket product, of course, you are heavily limited, right? So you cannot really do extensive Facebook advertising, you cannot do extensive Google advertising. If you pay 80 cents for a click and your product costs $5, there is no way on earth that, at least if you don't have a perfect funnel, you will break even on these people. So what you can do now, first of all, is Instagram or Facebook followers. So it is something that requires a lot of time, but I've seen a lot of stores actually being quite successful with that. They post stuff on especially on Instagram, actually more than with Facebook. They post stuff on Instagram sometimes 2, 3, 4, 5 times a day that is relevant to their specific niche, and they collect followers by the day. So some days it might be 5 followers, some days it's 10, 50, sometimes 100. Probably if you really get the ball rolling, you can literally get 1,000 followers and more per day using an organic Instagram strategy. And the good thing here is that you can post a link in your profile, and you can also tell people in every post, like, if you want to get this product, if you want to check on this, go to our site. And don't get me wrong, not every single post of yours should be a product from your store, especially not like the white background product that looks super boring. One of the crucial things if you use Instagram organic growth is that you need to be able to make good product images. So let's say every third or fourth post of yours, or maybe every second post, is a product, but it should look great. So it should have a great background and things like that. So eventually you might have to buy the products up front or ask your supplier to do that. But having a good Instagram organic growth strategy can help you finding new customers at absolutely zero cost. And of course, the growth will be slow, like you won't make $15,000 in sales in your first month, at least most likely not, but it's something that you can do if you really have no money, especially, you know, if you really have zero money, you can literally combine this with like WooCommerce, and you don't pay anything, and you can literally start an e-commerce business from zero without spending any money. Another thing is, and now this is of course a little more difficult and takes more time, is SEO. I've seen people that teach themselves SEO in a relatively short period amount of time, and they ranked some niche stores for certain keywords in a very good way, so that you know, they ranked these keywords and they showed up for these keywords and they made sales within a few months, which now you might say is a very long time, but considering that you're not spending any money and you get consistent sales after a few months, this is actually a pretty cool thing, especially if you can, while you're ranking them, you probably don't need your whole day ranking, so you can spend time on adding new cool products, or probably, you know, maybe you'll earn some money doing something else, so that you can invest it in the store. But of course, it's not about finding cheap traffic sources, it's about selling cheap products, which naturally implies that you have to look for these cheaper or free traffic sources. The third one is actually leveraging Facebook ads, and how do I call it the best way? Leveraging Facebook ads and let's say social reach. So what I mean with that is, you still use paid advertising to get your content out there, but what you do and what you aim for is that you make videos that look so good and that are so engaging that literally the amount of shares and comments and stuff like that explodes, so that you can sell cheap $5 to $10 products even though you're paying for advertising. Now, don't get me wrong, I know that this sounds a little bit unrealistic, you know, just go ahead and make a crazy good video that gets a ton of shares, but the point is, if you sell something that is insanely cheap, like $5 or $9.99 or something, it is not that difficult to convert people because of a quick impulse purchase, right? If you post an amazing ad saying something like, you know, go out here, this is our $5 product, it's a very cool 1-minute video, chances are that a lot of people will go ahead and actually buy the product. And now everything comes down to that great piece of creative. If you just post a random boring picture saying, you know, 50% off, you will never be able to get to that super low CPA so that this makes sense. But if you find something that looks very good, you can also split test. As I said, selling cheap products doesn't mean that you have a very low budget, so you may also be able to do some split test and then find out what works best for you. And once you find that great piece of content, that great video, whatever, you may actually be able to convert those people into cheap, into customers that buy your cheap products. And as I said, it's an impulse purchase. If you sell something for $5 or $10, this can literally be a very, very easy sale to those people. And one last thing that I want to talk about is that someone also in another Facebook group talked about a store where like everything is $5. So what if you built an e-commerce store where everything is $5 and this is basically your way of advertising it? I wanted to talk about this a little bit more because I think it's quite interesting, but the problem is literally you will never be able, especially if you start branding your store as something like that, you will never be able to break out. And even if you plan to do something different, if you plan to add more expensive stuff, you know, it may be a little strange if you brand your whole store as the $5 store and suddenly you sell $200 products as some sort of upsell. So doing something like this can be great. I mean, here you need to get creative, right? Whether this is something for you, come up with creative ideas on how to make something like this work. In general, this will definitely be quite difficult, but if you figure it out, if it works for you, then also I could imagine that the growth potential of something like this is pretty big, because it is something that you can literally become like known for. I mean, Fiverr became popular because everything started to be like $5, and even though they have more expensive stuff now, this was something that made them pretty famous, you know, paying for cheap gigs. Same could happen for your online store. You know, everything $5, very cheap items. I just go there, buy something, done, I get it delivered to my door. So keep that in mind, guys. I hope that this video here was helpful. As you probably have seen in the video in the beginning, there was a little slider where I showed you that my free high-ticket training is also about to start soon. As I said in some of the last videos already, I didn't decide for a date yet because I have to build out the training and some more stuff, and, you know, partnering up with some people. But if you want to learn more about high-ticket selling, now that you also learned a little bit more about low-ticket selling, make sure that you check out the link in the description and that you pre-register for the live training to take place so that you can learn how to sell products for $100, $200, $500 or more. So I hope that you enjoyed this video. I hope it was helpful. If it was, then please leave a like and let me know what was the cheapest that you ever sold a product for. Was it $5? Was it 10? Was it maybe something like 20, 30? Let me know in the comments. Would be really, really interesting to know. And yeah, if you want to see more, please subscribe to this channel, and I will see you in the next video, guys. Bye bye.